watching 5 Star Live, presented by East Tennessee Spine and Sport. Tennessee's #1 high school football show. Live on location from the biggest game of the week. Live interviews from coaches and players, along with highlights, predictions, and up-to-date information about this week's biggest games. Your hosts, Jesse Smithy and Kevin Smith, with decades of experience covering and coaching high school sports, along with a 5-star preps team, will break down region outlooks and what's to come for your favorite prep football teams and top players. Now, get ready for the most comprehensive high school football coverage in Tennessee on 5 Star Live.
Are you ready for some football?
We're ready for some football, baby.
Welcome in, everyone, to 5 Star Live, presented by East Tennessee Spine and Sport. I'm your host tonight, Jesse Smithy. As always, joined with Kevin Smith, my co-host tonight. Kevin, I love coming to a game where people get here earlier than I do. There are blankets reserving seats up on the stadium. You see the TV stations are all here waiting to interview coaches. It's a big one tonight out here at West High School.
Yeah, super exciting for East Tennessee and high school football here again. So impressed with the coaching staffs and the schools putting this together, not being scared to play one another, getting themselves ready for a playoff run. And yeah, I definitely see they're coming here early. I couldn't find a parking spot. Thought I was going to be late to the show tonight. So Maryville fans, they're taking up all the parking spots here at West High School.
When the contracts were signed, I guess 2 years ago, and the schedules came out, and you start running down West High School's football schedule, and you see Alcoa and Maryville, and you're like, gosh, is Alabama not available? And you're like, what are you guys doing?
Farragut, Bearden.
Yeah, Farragut, Bearden. I was like, man, this schedule is one of the most difficult things I've ever seen. And you look at them now, it's made them better. They went through it a year ago, unscathed, made a deep run in the playoffs. They're even better for it this year. 8-0 coming into this game. The top-ranked team in the state, West High School is, and trying to make some history tonight. We've laid it out on 5 Star Preps for many, many weeks, and even on this show, no team has beaten Maryville from Knox County since 2000, and no team has beaten both Alcoa and Maryville in the same season since 1999. And believe it or not, Kevin, Heritage High School and William Blount High School both did it in 1999. Hard to imagine a time where Heritage and William Blount were just running roughshod over Maryville and Alcoa.
I mean, Jesse, it's one of the most impressive stats I've ever heard or seen at any level of football. I mean, it really is truly amazing because the consistency with which you have to play, without you have to do your off season, not having too many penalties in games, turnovers, it's just an unbelievable stat to see. And again, Coach Cummings out here, he understood, or excuse me, Coach Brown understood that he had a veteran group that he needed to challenge last year and knew they were up for the challenge this year. And again, this schedule is really setting them up for an opportunity to be ready for the playoffs, and no game will be too big for them after playing in these type of ball games.
Yeah, and it's weird for Maryville, which has been the standard in East Tennessee high school football for the last 2 decades, along with Alcoa, in regards to championship consistency. It's weird to see them in Week 10 with 2 losses on their record, but as we tried to kind of hint at all season long, there's some red flags with this Maryville team, and they're still trying to find their identity and find things that work. But when you break it down, they're going to do the basics tonight. They're going to run the football extremely well. They have a big offensive line with 2 guys that are going to play major college football. They've got a running back who's going to Virginia. What are your keys for Maryville for keeping this simple and trying to grind out a win tonight?
Well, I think first and foremost, they got to win first down. They got to stay ahead of the chains. They can't get in predictable passing situations with this athletic West defense that can come at them from different angles, and they got to use their strength to the offensive line. And I also think, Jesse, tonight it's a Noah Vaughn type game. He needs to be a Christian McCaffrey. 50% of the snaps need to be in his hand. They've got to get creative to get him out in the open space, whether it's as a receiver, as the running back, normal handoffs, whatever they got to do. He's got to touch the ball 35 to 50 times. Literally 50% of their snaps need to be the ball in his hands.
And I don't know how they're going to create a mismatch with this West defense with him, because every now and then you can break down film and go, okay, that guy out there, cornerback, or that linebacker, we can maybe attack in that space, but there's seemingly no weaknesses with this West defense. So you're right, they're going to have to get creative with getting Noah Vaughn the ball. He's a guy who should be in the mix for 6A Mr. Football, but whether it's getting him the Wildcat, getting him in on punt returns, kick returns, whatever opportunity they can give him, he needs it tonight.
Absolutely. And let's go to the other side of the ball for Maryville. Defensively, they've been playing pretty well this year. This is the type of game that they have to minimize the explosive plays, the 20-plus yard plays from West. They can't let West get on the scoreboard on special teams, which we've seen them do very well this year, and they cannot give up those explosive plays. They got to force West down the field to earn it. And that's going to be a big key defensively for Maryville tonight as well.
Yeah, in regards to West High School, let's kind of break them down a little bit. We know what we're going to see out of them defensively. We've seen them a few times this year, and that's a veteran group. They've done it for years, so I don't think they're going to throw anything crazy into the mix tonight. They're going to kind of do what they do. But offensively, we're seeing West get better and better. Their quarterback, Carson Jesse, statistically isn't going to jump off the page at you, but I watched him last week throw the football. His spirals looked tighter. He looked like he was throwing with more conviction, more confidence, and that's exactly what you want to see coming into this game.
Well, and this is a line of scrimmage game, and the same thing for West. I think they need to stay ahead of the chains and give him the ability to have a 3rd and 4, 2nd and 3s, easy pass plays to get first downs, and then have over-the-top plays where they take some shots in a 2nd and 2 situation off play action. And I tell you what, Jesse, they got to find a way defensively. West is one of the few teams in East Tennessee, if not the entire state of Tennessee, that can line up man for man in the secondary, put 8 or 9 guys in the box, and dare Maryville to beat them throwing the football. And that's the key for me defensively is can West play man-to-man on the outside, put everybody in the box, and force Maryville to throw the football tonight.
Them getting Marshawn Bowers from Kings Academy, it can't be overstated how big of a transfer that was. We're talking about a kid as an 8th grader that played on the varsity team at TKA 3 years ago who was the 5-star preps underclassman defensive player of the year. He had like 5 or 6 interceptions playing varsity football as an 8th grader, and then the 9th grade year came and he did it again, and 10th grade year he was productive again, and then transferred to kind of bolster this secondary. That was a huge pickup for West.
I mean, they were already loaded. This is one of the best front sevens, and Jesse, I'd love to throw out some names tonight, some guys to keep an eye on for West that don't normally get the accolades because they're really good high school football players. The linebacker, number 5, Brock Hatcher, phenomenal football player. You're going to see him making plays. He's even scored a touchdown defensively this year. And their D-line is one of my favorite D-lines to watch. They're active, they're physical, and 2 guys that really stand out, 62, John Sartell, and 55, Jemias Mills. I hope I said that correctly. These guys are phenomenal, Jess. These are the type of guys I'd want to coach on Friday night. And another stat that people aren't realizing with West, they've turned the teams over offensively 20 times this year and scored 6 touchdowns. This is a defense that will score on you. If you're a Maryville offense, you got to be very careful about when you pick and choose to take your shots and take your chances, because this West defense, if you give them the opportunity, they'll put points on the scoreboard as well.
Yep, that's Kevin Smith. I'm Jesse Smithy. We're going to get to our first break. Or when we come back, we're going to talk about this Maryville West matchup a little bit more, break down statistically what West is doing defensively this year. It's just kind of otherworldly. We got an interview with Maryville head coach Derek Hunt on the way as well, so don't go anywhere on 5 Star Live, presented by East Tennessee Spine and Sport.
Knox Siding and Windows is a complete exterior home improvement company that can help you with all your exterior needs. Visit us today at 5618 North Broadway.
When you shop at Elliott's, your journey is our purpose.
If I do it once, I do it again. Add it up, bankroll, euro, peso, add it up. I'm just doing me, everything is on me, or you matter what. Add it up, bankroll, euro, peso, add it up. I'm just doing me, everything is on me, or you matter what. Told her if it's all me, everything is on me, gon' back it up.
in to 5 Star Live, presented by East Tennessee Spine and Sport. Jesse Smithy along with Kevin Smith at West High School tonight in Week 10. Hard to believe playoffs are right around the corner. I mean, this regular season has just flown by.
Yeah, and I need to see you get your playoff beard going. I mean, we're already getting it started because these are playoff games for a lot of teams this week, trying to get in the playoffs and or get their seeding correct.
I tried to start my playoff beard like a week ago. And when it starts growing out, man, I just feel like depressed and like I feel like a terrible man. Like I just look terrible. So I had to shave it. I can't do the playoff beard. I have beard envy out of you over there. But before the break, we were talking about this West defense, and you talked about how they weren't afraid to score on you. We saw it last week. Now, I know Cott County is not even the same stratosphere as Maryville, so I don't think that I'm comparing the two programs, but we saw Brock Hatcher get his hands on a football, return it for a touchdown. We saw multiple players on defense get their hand on the football. They love to block kicks. I'm going to read you off West defensive statistics. I sent them to you before the game, but 7.5 points per game. That's what they're allowing. 172.6 yards per game is what they're allowing. They force 3 and outs 54% of the time. 89 tackles for loss, 27 sacks, 16 interceptions, 4 fumble recoveries. They blocked 3 punts. They blocked an extra point. I mean, these guys get after it in a major way. It does not matter what position.
Their front seven is phenomenal, and when your front seven is as fast and athletic and physical as they are, it makes your secondary even better, and this secondary is really good. So it's just a recipe for disaster for offensive football teams, especially when you're winning on first and second down. You're putting teams in positions of 3rd and 12 or longer. Now they can unleash the beast and then come after you. And when that happens, turnovers happen. When turnovers happen, points get put on the board, or you put your offense in very good field position. This has been a fun defense to watch. I'm really excited to see them get tonight. And if you like old school football, tonight is the night for you because both these teams are physical and their strengths are in the trenches.
It does kind of have one of those 80s, 90s kind of hard-nosed football feel to it. And you talked about the West front seven. One of those players in there in the linebacking core that we hadn't discussed a lot tonight yet, John Carlovato. Big body linebacker who has some quarterback skills in the past. They tried him a little bit at running back. Last week we saw him run the Wildcat and house one from 60 to 70 yards. We might see a little bit of that tonight.
I think that's kind of a package that's coming along here for the playoffs. Something 3rd and 2, 3rd and 1s, 4th and 1s. Get him the football because when he leans forward, he's usually falling forward for extra yards. Again, another great football player. These linebackers, they flow fast. And they come with authority when they get there, and that's when you call us plays and get turnovers.
It's odd that West dominates the conversation in this matchup between West High School and Maryville High School, but again, this is an odd situation for Maryville. We talked with head coach Derek Hunt before the game tonight about just how weird it is that Maryville High School is in this underdog role coming into Knox County tonight. Here's our conversation with Maryville head football coach Derek Hunt. All right, Derek, coming in this game against West, obviously they get a lot of publicity because of their defense. What are the keys for you guys tonight that y'all kind of hammered away in practice this week?
Well, first of all, we've talked about what a great opportunity this game is for us. You know, how many teams get a chance to play, playoff-like atmosphere this late in the year? So it's going to be really exciting for our kids. For us, we can't help West. And, I feel like you watch them on film and they're so good at creating short fields and taking advantage of special teams play, returning a bigger punt return or a big kickoff return or blocking a punt for a touchdown. They remind me of Oakland, man. They remind me this year on defense especially of the Oakland teams we've played and how opportunistic they are.
And that's an opportunity, like you said, for you guys to grow and learn. And even though this late in the season, I mean, there's always room for improvement, right?
Absolutely. Oh my, yeah. And that's the thing I told our starters this week. Like, you can't be satisfied with where you're at. Like, you can still get better. Hopefully we've got more football left to play after the next 2 weeks, and so and we do have a huge region game next week that'll decide. That has a lot to do with seeding this year. So but this is a huge non-region game. It's going to be awesome high school football atmosphere. West does a tremendous job. They've got one of the best teams I've seen in this area in a long time, and so we're excited for the challenge. I don't know. I couldn't tell you the last time where Maryville's gone on the road and Knoxville and probably been an underdog. But that's kind of what we feel like right now, and so we've got to play really well to have a chance to win.
As a former offensive player yourself, How have you seen this offensive unit evolve through the year? I know there's still areas where y'all are growing and maturing and trying to get guys producing. How have you seen that change week by week?
Yeah, it's taken us longer than certainly normal to find an identity. We knew that was going to be the case just because of how much we lost off last year. We lost 8 starters off last year's offense. So, coming back, it's just been a challenge for us to find out, who we're going to be, besides Noah Vaughn. But I really am excited about these guys have not given up. They've not, been frustrated to the point where, they've not stopped improving. And so we've made changes all throughout the year, tried to do a little bit different stuff schematically, but also with personnel. And so, what a great challenge tonight to see, how far we have grown and also how far we still need to grow.
Thank you, Derek Hunt, for that time tonight before the game, taking some time to break down this Maryville West matchup. Certainly wish his team the best of luck tonight, and they have a big matchup in Week 11 with Bradley Central. If Maryville can win that game, probably going to get the 1 seed in the region and make next week's Beard and Farragut game pretty critical for that 2 seed. We're now joined by Graham Keys from East Tennessee Spine and Sport. Graham, this is your second appearance on the program. Your first with me. It's good to finally meet you, and thanks for joining us tonight.
It's great to be back again. We look forward to this now on a Friday night. There's a bit of competition to see who gets the star seat. Micah's been kind of pulling trumps recently.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, Mike is finding ways to get out here and join us.
Indeed.
And we've had him a couple weeks in a row, and now great to have you out here as well. And East Tennessee Spine and Sport has been around for so long, and we're happy to have them as our presenting sponsor of 5 Star Live. You guys have, 6 locations around the area. This is a good opportunity, not just for athletes, for adults and whoever needs help. Pretty easy to find you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. On the website alone, you'll be able to get all the contact information. But East TN Spine Sport's the easiest way. And the big thing, of course, is don't forget, in the state of Tennessee, you don't actually need a referral from your physician anymore. And we'll work with your doctors. But, give us a call, and we'll see about those aches and pains and getting you worked in at anyone.
Well, that's how I found you guys. I actually got to East Tennessee Spine and Sport via a doctor referral, and I can't remember which guy it was, but I loved my visits there. It got me back on the golf course pretty quickly. I had some shin issues and whatnot just because my swing is so terrible. I put way too much stress on my shins when I play. But for somebody, whether, again, it's an adult, 40, 50, 60 years old, or it's an athlete, what do you feel like they're going to experience on that very first visit that can kind of make them feel comfortable and at ease?
One of the most important things I think that we do is we sit and listen to that patient. It's meeting them where they are in their journey. Some people have had this problem for a week or a few days. Others have been dealing with this type of whatever pain it is for months on end. Maybe they've seen other practitioners, maybe they've seen other people, and they haven't quite been listened to. I think that's probably the first and the most important thing that we're going to do. Spend time listening, putting that history together, and then beginning testing and looking at some of the limitations that they have. So that first visit is a lot of sitting, talking, sort of really meeting that patient where they are in their journey with that issue.
So where do you generally work? Which location?
I'm at our Farragut location,
okay.
And I've been in Farragut. I've been treating in Farragut for the last 22 years.
Oh, wow. So you're deep OG Farragut.
I am.
You're the mean streets.
I've got it on tonight, and that's where I'm heading right after this.
Yeah, absolutely. And Farragut definitely has a great season going on this year, 6-2, and a big game against Fulton tonight. But, I talked with Bobby, one of your co-workers, before the game. We discussed what are some things that on tonight that people can look for. The weather's starting to change. It's starting to get a little colder, and I brought up an issue where I broke 2 fingers playing, and I didn't even know I'd done it until my body temp came back down to normal. I got in my car, and all of a sudden my fingers started throbbing and hurting. And what kind of changes does the cold weather bring with injury?
Jesse, they do bring some changes. Back in the day when the turf wasn't this wonderful turf that we have here, we were always worried about the increased force from the ground whenever it was colder. That's not as big an issue, but that ball is still colder, and that ball is still harder on the receiver's fingers, that QB, as well as any running back who's putting that rock in their hands. So there's definitely an issue with that. The other big one that everyone talks about is, I'm going to pull a hamstring, I'm going to pull a quad, I'm going to pull a muscle in cold weather. And it's interesting. There's a lot of contention actually about that. Mm-hmm. The research doesn't really support that not stretching is going to cause injury or that stretching stops injury. So it's one of those sort of split camps on that. Now, as a physical therapist, I'm going to say we should probably warm up before we go on.
Yeah.
We should probably do some smart things. But I think a lot about the kicker, the punter, or maybe those guys who are on special teams who are maybe only playing 2 or 3 reps per quarter. I think about them definitely needing to keep warm and keep loose, but also to let them know that it's okay, because even if they're not, the research supports that they're not at any extra increased risk for that injury.
What about hydration? Early in the season, their coaches say hydrate, hydrate, hydrate. Don't want to have cramps, and yet the kids don't listen. We still have a ton of cramps in the first 2 or 3 weeks of the season. Now it's getting colder. They probably think, well, I don't have to drink as much. I'm not going to sweat as much. That's probably the wrong thing.
And unfortunately it is, because the body's actually also going to continue to work hard to keep them warm. So it's expended energy and it's expended fluid. So they do want to still keep hydrated. And I think coaching staff keep on them fairly well about that. Certainly the athletic training staff should. But it is one of those things on a cold night. That's not the thing you want, is a nice drink of water.
Yeah, I mean, you guys never want to see people injured, obviously, and especially high school kids. And just wondering kind of what got you into this business in terms of ushering people through that process and getting them back to where they need to be.
You know, Jesse, it's been, let's just say, a few years since I started being a therapist. I was 15 years old when I said I wanted to be a therapist. And it was all about, at the time, I was playing sports. Rugby was my love. I was playing sports at the time and had a few injuries and seen what it could do.
Not at rugby. I mean, that's not a tough sport at all.
Yeah, you know, just once in a while, right? But seeing what impact it had on me, I then wanted to be someone that gave that impact back to people. And I think at East Tennessee Spine and Sport, with the locations that we have, we're in this community. And I think that's something we talk about it all the time, but it really means something to us. We are in each of these communities, we're active in these communities, and we're wanting to give something back to the kids. I had an example at the Farragut location this week. A high school senior, one of the football players, had a bit of an injury in the middle of the week. It's senior night at Farragut. He was worried that he wasn't going to be able to play. One of the therapists worked him in at lunchtime, their lunch break, just to make sure that this kid was going to make it onto the field on Friday night. He's out there now, and we're looking forward to him having a great senior night. But that's the sort of commitment that I expect at any one of our 6 locations from any one of our therapists, to be honest.
Well, Graham, thanks so much for coming out. They're about to do the national anthem tonight. We're going to say goodbye to you, let you get out to that Farragut game, and thank you so much for y'all's support. Thank you. All right, we're going to take a break here on 5 Star Live. We'll come back in just a few minutes.
North Knox Siding and Windows is a complete exterior home improvement company that can help you with all your exterior needs. Visit us today at 5618 North Broadway.
When you shop at Elliott's, your journey is our purpose.
If I do it once, I do it again. Add it up, bankroll, euro, peso, add it up. I'm just doing me, everything is on me, oh, you matter what. Add it up, bankroll, euro, peso, add it up. I'm just doing me, everything is on me, oh, you matter what. Add it up. Told her if it's all me, everything is on me, gon' back it up.
East Tennessee, the foothills of the Smokies, beautiful lakes, Friday night heroes, and one red light small towns with more life than any big city, where orange and white is displayed. Yeah, the one and only home of the Tennessee Vols, but also the home of the 134th Air Refueling Wing Volunteers. You might catch us in the beautiful skies of East Tennessee, flying the time-tested, irreplaceable, world-traveling, aerial refueling KC-135. Yeah, you heard that right. We refuel other aircraft while traveling the world at over 30,000 feet and 500 miles an hour. The amazing thing is, that's really not the 134th Air Refueling Wing's greatest strength. Our greatest strength is our airmen, our warriors, who have answered our nation's call. Guardians of freedom and justice, not only in our beautiful hills, but worldwide. They are our sentries and avengers, defending our country with their lives. They are the best of us, wingmen, leaders, and warriors, and you best believe they will never falter or fail. Flying, fighting, and winning, they are American Airmen and Tennessee Air National Guardsmen. So what are you waiting for? It's time to join the hometown team. Visit GoANG.com or call 1-800-TO-GO-ANG.
Welcome back into 5 Star Live, presented by East Tennessee Spine and Sport. How about Graham from Spine and Sport? That guy's a legend, man. From Northern Ireland, you hear the accent, you just want to hang out with that guy.
Yeah, I mean, every time I hear him, it kind of reminds me, shocks me. And how about being in Farragut for as long as he's been there?
Yeah, Graham, we're going to have to go hang out with him sometime and have him tell some stories. I mean, those people from overseas, man, they're just salt of the earth people, and they're just great to hang out with. They threw the national anthem at us a little bit early tonight. It is senior night here at West High School, so you're going to hear them announcing some things behind us. But let's go ahead and hop into Week 10. Last night, just one game on a Thursday night. That was kind of odd, given that they've kind of reworked the schedules to accommodate official shortages, but just one game last night. Carter High School just thumped South Doyle. That was expected. How about this Carter team? I mean, they started in the preseason. All we heard about was this Carter team has evolved. They're going to be really, really good this year. And then they started off 0-3. Now, though, they're cooking at the right time. They've won 5 out of their last 6 games. I mean, last year they kind of spiraled late. Now they're peaking at the right time.
And I think you got to give them a lot of credit. I mean, that's very hard to do, especially with the high expectations they did have to come in 0-3 and not have the start you wanted to have. It seems good senior leadership over there, some guys that are hungry, and they've gotten themselves right back in the thick of things. They obviously offensively they can score with just about anybody. Got some really good playmakers. I'm always interested in the defense, Jesse. Can they keep up? Can they get enough stops to give them an opportunity to win in the playoffs?
You look at their defense. There's been times this year where there was on the road at Walker Valley, on the road at Morristown West, where their defense won them games. And so that's a really good sign to see for Carter High School going forward. They play Fulton next week, region game. They haven't beat Fulton in over 20 years, so it's definitely going to be one to follow.
We won't make predictions this week, but I have a feeling that's going to be a very high-scoring game.
Yeah, we'll talk about that one next week. Hey, next week is our playoff War Room show. We do it every year where we'll be at Gold Star Nutrition up there in North Knoxville. Jared, who takes care of us so well on the show and does all of our producing. We always just kind of get in the bunker there. We have a pregame show with interviews, and we break down the big games of Week 11. We have halftime reports to kind of keep you up to date with what the brackets look like. And then we have a post-game show where we unveil the brackets before anybody does. We beat the TSSAA into the ground, and we get
which is not hard to do.
Well, that's true.
It won't be till Wednesday when they get it out.
But we put out the brackets and all the first-round pairings, and so make sure you join us next week. All right, Kevin, let's run down. We got a lot of big non-region games, as you talked about last week. Not a lot of critical region games in terms of seeding, but just a lot of fun non-region games. Tyner at Alcoa. This Tyner team's only allowed 20 points, I think, all year long. Total. And no D1, like major D1 guys from what the Chattanooga Times tells me, but still a rare late season test for Alcoa.
Hey, sneaky good game this week. Again, another good matchup for Alcoa. They've just kind of run shop through their region. This is another good game for them to get ready for the speed, the physicality, and the bright lights that, with a good football team before the playoffs come. This is a Tyner team that's averaging 39 points a game, and you said giving up a total of 20 points in 8 games. Alcoa better not be asleep tonight, or they're going to have themselves in a ball game. Obviously, we like Alcoa to win the football game, but I think this can be closer a little bit in the first half than people would think.
Yeah, I would definitely agree there. Fulton at Farragut, a 4A team in Fulton going against a 6A team in Farragut. Farragut rolling right now. Tonight, it's just about keeping status quo right. They have a huge game next week against Bearden, which is for a home playoff game. You want to win this game, not expend too much energy, not get anybody hurt, and just keep going, right?
Hey, a little bit of a trap game, Jesse. And you talked about you don't want to get injured, so you don't want some – but again, if you're not playing hard, that's usually when you get injured. And this Fulton team, if they can avoid penalties, they are tough to stop. They can score points in bunches. Farragut has had a tendency at times to give up some of those points, and it's hard to keep the quarterback in the pocket, Jesse. This is a Farragut team, though, that I feel like is on a mission, Jesse. Now I expect them tonight to put on a good show and show their maturity to get ready for next week.
Yeah, they'll definitely have a few keys to read against Marcellus Jackson, the quarterback from Fulton High School, who's having an unbelievable year, but definitely expect Farragut to get that win. Old school rivalry game, Jefferson County at Morristown West. Again, not for any type of playoff seeding, but Jefferson County needs to get more comfortable, confident in its offense. Isaiah Hall, their quarterback, came back from injury, but they're still not producing at a high level with him just yet, but definitely need to get going on that.
And interesting here, Jesse, this is Mo West, final game of the season. They have a bye week in week 11. Yeah. You lose a game like this, you have to wait 2 weeks, and it's the playoffs, win or go home, to get that taste out of your mouth. Tonight is a very interesting night. Mo West needs to win this football game so they can have momentum going into that bye week and into the playoffs.
Oak Ridge and Dobbins Bennett, just a long time standing rivalry between those two programs. Dobbins Bennett, one of the better 6A teams in East Tennessee. Oak Ridge got a big win a week ago over Carnes, and now they're trying to win consecutive games for the first time this season. That's mind-boggling to think about.
Well, I think just if you're a coaching staff at Oak Ridge, you're just trying to get everybody together. You haven't had all 11 play together and get continuity with an offensive or defensive scheme since the summertime. This is a DB team, Jesse, I need to see it. I need to see it. And they better tonight come defensively and stop the running game of Oak Ridge, or Oak Ridge is going to put a 250, 300 rushing spot on them.
Oliver Springs at Coalfield. Oliver Springs has come out of nowhere this year. First-year coach Tyler Harper. They got it going right now. They're 4-0 in region play. Coalfield is 4-0 in region play. Benson Napier, second-year coach at Coalfield. So that's a game to keep an eye on tonight. Bearden at AC could be a really fun game, Kevin. I know Bearden, they're looking ahead a little bit to next week's game against Farragut. We've told you about what that means, but this is an opportunity for both teams to get better in their respective classifications playoff brackets. Anderson County probably hasn't seen a defense as good as Bearden's this year, and Bearden probably hasn't seen an offense that can be at times as complicated as AC's.
Yeah, and can run and throw. That you can't really just focus on one thing against Anderson County's offense. It's interesting to see this, Jesse. Bearden and Farragut right before have really interesting lower classification games that could be trap games. This is the offensive firepower of Anderson County versus the defensive physicality of Bearden. It's going to be interesting to see who can win out tonight.
But as we talked about on the show, Anderson County, I know you're 8-0. I know you want to have the perfect season. But if they do struggle at times tonight against a really good Bearden defense, that can help them, because that Greenville defense that they're likely to face in round 3, they're really good too. And so if they happen to get exposed in a few areas tonight, they have 2 or 3 weeks to get better at that. So this is a really properly scheduled, tough game by Anderson County.
Well, and as a coaching staff, you want games like this so you can get in the film room and have your kids' attention after they've kind of gone through some different games and maybe beat up on some other teams. Again, I love that the coaching staff from Anderson County, they are getting their team prepared. They have learned over the years to play big-time games in the regular season to get them ready for a run so they can get over that hump in the playoffs.
Tonight, Webb School at Knoxville honors David Meskey, their longtime coach. Coach out there since 1985, won tons of state championships. I know he's not in a mindset right now of looking back and appreciating his career, because they have a big game tonight against Boyd Buchanan.
And he's got a good football team. I mean, he's excited about his team and his staff, and he should be. This is, a very good football team that has a lot of playmakers. I think, though, tonight, Jesse, this is the one region game. Boyd's playing for a 2 seed. Webb's playing to put together a huge showdown next weekend for a region championship. It's all about Charlie Robinson tonight. I think he's got to do a good job running the football and design quarterback runs and throwing the football. This Boyd team is not very good up front on the offensive line, but they are really good defensively. This is going to be a really tough test for Webb's offense.
Speaking of Webb's offense, they do return Shavar Young tonight. He is a freshman wide receiver, one of the best players regardless of what year in school you'll find in East Tennessee. Multiple Power 5 offers. He tweeted today that he's going to be visiting Clemson tomorrow. He's had a collarbone issue. He's coming back tonight. Hopefully he's put in the time to recover. I've seen a number of players come back too soon, re-injure that collarbone. So cross your fingers out there at Webb tonight. Jalen Hill, their running back, is also expected back tonight. So this is a big week for Webb to get those guys back in shape a little bit before next week's game against Chattanooga Christian. All right, let's catch our final break. When we come back here on 5 Star Live, we're going to get to your predictions for players to watch tonight. It might be the most nominations we've ever had. It's a huge week in Week 10. And then we're also going to get to our Waffle House picks between me and Kevin here in the final segment of the show. So don't go anywhere.
Knox Siding and Windows is a complete exterior home improvement company that can help you with all your exterior needs. Visit us today at 5618 North Broadway.
When you shop at Elliott's, your journey is our purpose.
If I do it once, I do it again. Add it up, bankroll, euro, peso, add it up. I'm just doing me, everything is on me. Oh, you matter what? Add it up, bankroll, euro, peso, add it up. I'm just doing me, everything is on me. Oh, you matter what? Told her if it's all me, everything is on me, gon' back it up.
Welcome back. Final segment here tonight on 5 Star Live, presented by East Tennessee Spine and Sport. Again, if you're injured, you have a athlete who's injured, take them to East Tennessee Spine and Sport. They have 6 locations around East Tennessee. Check them out on their website. You'll be able to find all the information that you need to get your injury taken care of, or your son or daughter's injury taken care of, and get back on the playing field. All right, every week I ask people on social media, hey, throw some your predictions out there. Who's some players to watch? We got a ton tonight. Tyreek King, the freshman wide receiver at Catholic, they got a big game against Powell tonight. They're definitely going to need him to get him going in the pass game. Jordan Harris, all-purpose athlete at Alcoa, who we continue to go to bat for and try to find him a spot in college football somewhere.
He's the worth price of admission.
Yeah, Landis Davila, I always say Davila, but Landis Davila, wide receiver at Farragut, a Virginia Tech baseball commitment. He's a sneaky good football player, so check him out. Reese Kinney, kicker from Farragut, could be in the mix for Mr. Football Kicker. He's had an outstanding year. Boski, that's Marquise Barrett, the wide receiver junior at Webb School in Knoxville, a Power 5 guy. Let's keep scrolling. Devin Jones, wide receiver at Campbell County, they said could break the record for TDs in the season tonight. We'll keep an eye on that for Campbell County. Matthew Clemmer, quarterback, Maryville High School. He needs to have a huge night.
Got to have a big night tonight and avoid turnovers and mistakes against this defense.
Frank Johnson, the running back from Central High School. We didn't talk about that rivalry game, but they play at Halls High School. Hall's struggling a little bit this year, so maybe that game doesn't get the pub that it deserves. Dryston Turner, all-purpose athlete at Rockwood. He's been nominated multiple times. Joey Bonifacio, big-time linebacker out there at Webb School in Knoxville.
He's a key tonight.
Yeah, he is a nice, really nice player. All right, this is too many. Sam O'Leary. Let's see. This is Connor Wheeler, running back from Powell. I'm going to check on Twitter real quick. Kai Ironside from Bearden, Drew Parrott, quarterback from Bearden, Noah Vaughn, running back from Maryville High School, Lucas Kendall, a wide receiver at Clinton. He's really good. He's put up a ton of stats this year, and I feel like doesn't get the publicity he deserves. Shout out Lucas Kendall. I think they got a big game against Gibbs tonight. All right, thank you to everybody who nominated players. I couldn't get to them all. There were so many tonight. It's a huge night in Week 10. And, Kevin, let's get to our Waffle House predictions. We added a game during the break, so we got 6 games to predict tonight. Daniel Boone at David Crockett. I felt like I wasn't going to be a good American if I didn't nominate this game. Look, we don't cover these two teams, but I was like, man, we have got to predict Daniel Boone and David Crockett. I'm just going to go off of what I see on Coach T, the records. I'm going to go Daniel Boone. It looks like they've had the better body of work.
Yeah, and they're playing for a region to keep playoff momentum and to be undefeated. I like them big, actually, Jesse, 31-10 in this football game.
Can you give me one random fact about either one of those, Daniel Boone or David Crockett, like historically, not football?
No,
you on the spot.
I didn't listen.
Me either. I'm ashamedly, I can't do it, but God, just what a great game. Lipscomb and CPA. This is kind of year-old stomping grounds. I threw this pick in here for you. I'm going to go Lipscomb just because of Trent Dilfer and the domination that they've had. But CPA, right? They beat Oakland a week or two ago.
They did.
I threw this game in there. What do you like about this game?
After losing to an FRA team, they bounced back in Oakland. This is an interesting rivalry. I got to coach at both, Jesse, and at one point, CPA had never beaten Lipscomb. And then CPA goes on an 11-year, 12-year run. In the last 2 contests, this rivalry's turned sideways. It's been 65-0 combined in the last 2 games at Lipscomb over CPA. I just don't think CPA can stop Lipscomb's offense tonight, and I think there's just too many good players on Lipscomb's defense. I like Lipscomb big again, 42-13 tonight.
Yeah, I like Lipscomb as well. Bearden and Anderson County. I like Anderson County in a close football game, maybe 3 to 6 points in this game.
I'm going to disagree with you, Jesse.
Okay.
I think AC has struggled against physical football teams, and they're about to get a very physical Bearden football team that's come in with a lot of confidence. I think Bearden has just enough offense to win 28-24 and hangs on late with a late rally by Anderson County.
Yeah, that's what worried me in this pick a little bit, was just can Bearden's offense, which again has gotten better as the year has worn on, can they get enough points against Anderson County? I don't know, for some reason home field, they're wearing chrome helmets tonight. It's a blackout. Anderson County does it big. They'll have the energy to kind of get through.
And that's why I say hold on late, because Anderson County has shown for multiple games this year they will make a comeback. Bearden's going to have to hang on at the very end.
Powell and Catholic was an instant classic last year. Tommy went and had that crazy catch in the end zone on a rain-soaked night on Rivalry Thursday. This game is not televised this year. It's out at Catholic. We've seen Catholic put up numbers throwing the football. Not a real strong run game this year. That worries me in this game a little bit. I like Powell to get the win.
I love Jaden Neal. I think it's a huge matchup of quarterbacks and which defense can keep them in the pocket and which secondary can stay disciplined to not let receivers by them. But, Jesse, this game just feels like, to me, a Jordan Potts 2-point conversion late in the game to win 36-35. It just feels like that type of night.
Yeah, they got the experienced quarterback. They got the better run game. They got guys on the defensive front that can maybe give Jaden Neal a little bit of trouble. I just feel like when the tail of the tape kind of leans a little bit toward Powell, I'm going to go with them. Tonight's Boyd Buchanan at Webb School at Knoxville. We talked about it in the last segment. They're going to be honoring David Meskey for all his years at Webb School at Knoxville, but this is a critical region game for Webb if they want to stay in the hunt for a 1 seed in Division II AA East. I like Webb because they return Shavar Young, they return Jalen Hill to the lineup, and they just kind of get the whole team back together.
I like Webb as well, but for a different reason. I think the defense is going to show like they have all year this year, but win a football game for them tonight. I think this Boyd defense is underrated. It's going to be hard on Webb to score tonight. I think it's going to be a lower scoring game, and Webb's defense and those linebackers are going to win this football game tonight for Webb.
Final pick of the night here on the Waffle House pick segment. It's right here. Maryville High School, 6-2 at West, 8-0. It's senior night. West has everything to lose in this game. Not everything to lose, but the number one rankings and whatnot. It just feels like they have the pressure on them tonight. I like them to rally in this game and win on a field goal by Tyson Seavey. 24-21 is how I picked it on 5starpreps.com.
Hey, man, it's hard to disagree with that. I actually think the pressure's on Maryville because they don't need any more losses going in the playoffs to mess with their confidence. I like West tonight as well, but I think a little bit bigger. I think West is going to come out with this stout defense, and they're going to make enough plays offensively and special teams, about 2 or 3 explosive plays, and win 28-17. I really like this West defense. They've shown me a ton of maturity, Jesse, and I think they're going to win a little bit larger than what people would think.
Okay, we're going to come back at halftime, right, guys? Y'all okay with that? Y'all sticking around? All right. The kid will say they're sticking around. So we're going to come back at halftime tonight, talk about this game, kind of what's going on in the first half of Maryville versus West, and look around the area of some of the other big games that we've broken down tonight. Again, thanks so much to East Tennessee Spine and Sport. Kevin, thanks for joining us on the pregame show. Stick with us. We're going to be back at halftime, and then, again, next week we'll have our playoff War Room show from Gold Star Nutrition. So a lot more to come from 5 Star Preps and 5 Star Live. Thank you guys for joining us. Talk to you soon.
You're watching 5 Star Live, presented by East Tennessee Spine and Sport. Tennessee's #1 high school football show. Live on location from the biggest game of the week. Live interviews from coaches and players, along with highlights, predictions, and up-to-date information about this week's biggest games. Your hosts, Jesse Smithy and Kevin Smith, with decades of experience covering and coaching high school sports, along with a 5-star preps team, will break down region outlooks and what's to come for your favorite prep football teams and top players. Now, get ready for the most comprehensive high school football coverage in Tennessee on 5 Star Live.
Are you ready for some football?
We're ready for some football, baby.